Hi, and welcome to episode 43 of M1 Yarns and the Michigan Makers podcast. I'm Jamie, your host and the dyer behind M1yarns.com. I always forget to say this and people always ask me, but you can find me everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Ravelry, not Twitter, not TikTok. So really not everywhere, but all of the above at M1 Yarns, and the number 1 is the number 1, not spelled out. You know what I mean? It's just like this. Anyway, let's see. Today, the September light has that special glow, which if you live, I live in Metro Detroit, Michigan, here in the United States. But I've lived a number of other places: Colorado, Alaska, Nebraska, Texas, Germany. I was very young in Germany, but it seems like wherever you go in September, October, the way the light hits is just so magical. For me, it's like this whole perfect, and I'm sure you feel the same as a fellow fiber person, but you're thinking about sweaters, you're thinking about hats. The light has changed. It's a tiny bit cooler. It's really nice. So I was just thinking about that today. And I'm drinking some lovely herbal tea that I think is perfect for fall. This would actually really make a nice, wassail. This is Cranberry Pomegranate Infusion from the Seasoned Home, which is a shop I have been to in downtown Holland, Michigan. But they have a website. I will link their website below. I know I have mentioned them before because I really love their loose leaf tea. This one, I just have to read this to you because it is that good. If you are like me and you like loose leaf tea, this is one you've got to try. It combines flavors of cranberries, blossoms, and spices for a floral yet fruity cup of tea. Oh, never mind. That just didn't flow right in my brain. The citrus notes are balanced by cinnamon and star anise for a well-rounded taste. Anyway, it has apple pieces, orange peel, hibiscus blossoms, blackberry leaves, almonds, carrot shreds, star anise seed, cinnamon, silver linden blossoms, freeze-dried cranberry slices, pomegranate arils, and rose petals. This is so good. And I'm having some Walker's Scottish shortbread with it because I just needed an afternoon snack. Enough yammering on. We're already like 4 minutes into this, and I haven't told you, if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. This is a mostly knitting podcast, a little bit of other crafty content here and there, and life stuff. And today I am wearing my Cozy Classic Raglan short sleeve version that I knit with. So this is a DK pattern by Jessie Martinson. I knit this before in a fingering weight merino held with a mohair in a solid black. Love that sweater. I wear it so much. And I love that it's like a basic crew neck. I love fuzz, so I love holding mohair or alpaca with like everything. But I think it was this spring I knit this. I wanted a T version. So basically when I split for the sleeves, I just maybe ribbed 3 rounds and then bound off to create little short sleeves. I knit this with fingering weight held with Surrey alpaca. The Surrey is the mushroom colorway that's in my shop. And the fingering weight, I can't remember what it is. Anyway, it's all on my Ravelry page if you're interested. But this is such a good transitional piece. I love that it's like just a basic tee, but it's fuzzy. It's cozy, yet my arms are bare. So I feel like for fall and spring, a fuzzy, cozy, basic tee sweater is where it's at. So that's what I'm wearing. I will probably knit this pattern at least 2 more times. I already have yarn designated for it. I think it's in a project bag somewhere. But this is like my go-to. And I feel like when I go to Rhinebeck next month, I do have some projects that I will be shopping for, but you know when you come across those random good skeins of fingering weight, I will snatch those up because 1 skein of fingering weight is enough for me to knit this. And then I mean, it's a DK pattern, but I'm saying if I buy a fingering weight and then add on a strand of lace weight, mohair or Surrey alpaca, then I get gauge. You know what I'm saying. If you don't, comment below. I will walk you through the whole yarn substitution magic. But this is like a good go-to basic. So, yes. So last week's episode, we kicked off a hat make-along, the M1 Hat Mal, or M1 Hat MAL, however you want to say it. Knit or crochet any hat pattern, any yarn between now and November 1st, and post your project photos using the hashtag or posting in the Ravelry forum for a chance to win a prize. And the Ravelry forum already has like some great chatter. So I encourage you, if you are looking for inspiration, maybe pattern ideas, or to see other people's projects, hop in there to see what's going on and join the chatter in there. Always a good time. So speaking of make-alongs, I don't know why this chair is so squeaky lately. I have to get out like some WD-40 or something. I noticed it editing the last video that this chair was squeaking. I apologize. You just can't keep up with all the home maintenance all the time. Am I right? There is always something. Anyway, I could tell you quite a story about my dishwasher right now, but I won't. It's a tale of woe. Anyway, back on track. That was a tangent. And yes, I got a haircut. Do you like it? I had grown out my hair for quite some time. It had been 9 months since I had a haircut, and I was ready for something fresh and new. I know people get haircuts for summer. I feel like I always cut my hair in the fall or in the winter. I don't know why. That makes no sense. You would think you'd want to keep like your insulation. But anyway, we digress majorly today. Back on track. Speaking of the other make-along, I'm hosting another make-along, and this is the M1 Steek-along. This is running through December 31st. It kicked off a couple months ago. So while you still have plenty of time to make a cardigan or the coffee cozy, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. I've mentioned it before. I have a project page on Ravelry all about it, which is a great opportunity to try steeking. You have time, but you don't have time. Like, get on board now because there will be prizes, and you know, if you want to take your time in knitting or crocheting, there are a couple crochet steeked cardigans that didn't want to flow out of my mouth. Anyway, you know, pick a pattern like soon, ASAP, and cast it on and get going so you have a chance to win that prize. That being said, I am knitting. I've talked about this before. or last episode, I think was the first time I talked about it. I'm knitting the Woodland. I always want to call it the Woodland, but I think it's the Moorland cardigan. Moreland. I think last time I called it Woodland. Okay, never mind. Moorland cardigan by Tania, Barley. And this is in undyed merino held with undyed mohair. I know, why would a yarn dyer knit with undyed? But whenever I knit with this, I actually get a lot of ideas for new colorways. So I feel like it's good to look at a blank slate every now and then for me. Anyway, and I love ivory. I finished the body, guys. So last week when I podcast, I think I was like, oh, I know where I was. I had just done the first set of bobbles, so I was right in between there. So I really barely had any yoke. I mean, I was like right there. And within like 2 days, I finished the rest of the yoke. I'm on size 4 needles, even though I think the pattern calls for a size 7, but I'm a loose knitter. It's written with Nutidin yarn, and I'm doing a whole different thing. So there's a lot of, I don't know, I had to really, you know, work with what you got. Make it work. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, even though I'm on size 4 needles, it's going really fast. And I knit the whole body, after I split for the sleeves, I knit the whole torso bit in like 3 days. I was cruising. So that line that you see down the middle, if you're not familiar with steeked cardigans, that's where I'm going to cut in between that line. I'm going to pick up a button band, and then I'm also going to pick up a ribbed collar. So now all I have to do are the sleeves. The sleeve stitches are on my SOS cords, which, if you're not familiar, these are silicone stitch holder cords, and they are available in my shop in 2 sizes and several colors. So now all I have to do is the sleeves. The bobbles are going well. I've definitely gotten the hang of them. They're easier than I thought they would be. Okay, so here's where I need your thoughts. I could steek this now and then do the button band and the collar and then come back to the sleeves, or I could do the sleeves and then steek. What would you do? If you've steeked a cardigan before and you've done it both ways, or if you've only done it one way, will you tell me what you think? Because I feel like I'm going back and forth on what I should do. I don't know. I'm not scared to steek it because I've already steeked the coffee cozy. So I'm no longer, I've conquered my fear of that. It's just a matter of like, you know, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Yeah. So that's the Moorland cardigan, which apparently I nicknamed the Woodland cardigan. Who knew? I feel like this is the part of the podcast where we should switch from tea to alcohol, because I have to tell you some heartbreaking knitting that I've been going through. I don't know if I had it on the podcast last week. Pretty sure I did. I was almost done with the color work on this dress. This is a bottom-up pattern. Can't you tell? Bottom up. I rewrote the pattern, or reworked it, I should say. It's a pattern by Johanna Vow. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Johanna Vow. I reworked the pattern so I could knit it top down, which is my preference. The yoke went great. I'm very satisfied. The pattern wasn't working for my body. I had to do a lot of reshaping in the bust torso region. When I got down here to knit the color work that's on the bottom of the dress, first I was on too small of a circumference knitting needle. So all my stitches were bunched up. The color work was puckering. It was not good. And I kept telling myself it'll block out. Then I had to come to Jesus. It won't block out. Rip it out. So I ripped out all the color work. I re-knit it. I was almost done. I was like, I should try this on. So I put the dress, I put the bottom stitches on an SOS cord, which I just talked about. Tried it on and realized if I had continued with the rest of the color work, it would be too long. And the color work, despite switching to a longer circumference needle, almost the length of the circumference, like, not this needle. Anyway, I had all my stitches stretched out, is what I'm trying to say. It was still puckering because the pattern, the floats are like this far apart. And unless you're catching your float, which is really tedious to me, I don't know, it just wasn't working. I was frustrated because now I've knit the color work twice. It's too long. I'm going to have to redo something. I could have blocked out the slight puckering that happened the second time around, but I had to rip back either way and make some sort of modifications because the dress was going to be too long. I'm only 5'3", and I probably should have started the color work sooner, but then that would have been pretty high up my thigh. Long story short, I don't think this dress with color work on the bottom is great for petite people. I think it's just, and it's a little, my overall feeling was it was busy. Color work up here, color work down here. You know, they say in fashion, you really want to keep the focus of the eyes up here. Thus, a lot of color work yokes. I'm not a fan of patterns where the color work is just at the torso because I don't really like drawing attention down there. But long story short, all that to say, I decided I ripped back 15 inches of knitting and I'm going to knit the remaining bit of the dress just in plain stockinette in this mushroom colorway and call it a day. I'm going to knit it to the right length without the color work, and I think it's going to look simpler. I already omitted the, in the pattern, there's like cables right in the waist, and I thought that was distracting too. It was like color work, cables, color work, too much, which I'd already thought through. It looks lovely on the sample. Hats off to the designer. It just wasn't going to work for me and my aesthetic. And I think that's so important in knowing like how you like to dress your body, where you want the focal point to be, what you think about your height or shape, and what you want to do to work with those parameters. I truly believe every body is beautiful, but what works on my 5'3" frame does not work on someone who's 5'9". It just doesn't. We're just different. And so this has been a little bit heartbreaking, but that means if I'm just cruising in stockinette, I can finish this really fast. Which last week I was saying I was stressed about Rhinebeck because I wasn't sure if I was going to finish this and this in time for Rhinebeck. Now, I am confident I'm going to have both done. Yay! So, all that to say, you know, what could have been bad, I just turned into a silver lining or whatever you want to say. So I think that's all I have for you this week. I do have a couple other things that I'm just going to post on my Instagram later in the week. So if you don't already follow me there, head on over to Instagram and be sure to check out my stories this week. Meantime, I hope you all are having a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.